Well, guys, we're playing the game again. It's the best game on the internet. Where did we wake up? Oh, we woke up again in the forest. But not just any forest. We woke up in one of my favorite forests ever. We're just outside of the Leadville area. And I came here because, well, it was super hot everywhere else that I was. And I am on my way back toward Texas. So I wanted to have a little reprieve from the heat before going there. And I thought, what better place to do it than right here in one of my favorite places to camp. Now there's a vast land of BLM campsites here. And so I come here as frequently as I can because it's a high altitude camp, which means it's a lot cooler. But when I pulled in, it was about 70 degrees. By the time that I got ready for bed, it had already dropped down to the 50s. And at the coldest moment of the night, when I was burrowing under my blankets, it was in the high 40s. A huge difference from only a couple of nights ago when it was in the 80s, the high 80s still, while I was trying to sleep. This was fabulous. A very smart idea on my part. And today, I'm just gonna take a slow day here around camp. I think I need this. It's a time to recharge my batteries before I take that last part of the drive back toward Texas. I can kind of figure out some ideas for some adventures along the way. And I can address a few things that I need to address in my van before I go. Like this guy right here. This is my toilet. We don't talk about my toilet on the channel because I think it's kind of weird to talk about, but I did have something happen on this trip that I felt like I did need to address. Now, this is the Thetford Camper Potty, and it's just small. It's a chemical toilet. You pull out this, and then you use the restroom, and it goes down into that bottom tank. And then whenever you get to a place that has a dump station, you can just take this bottom tank off and go put it into, a safe place. It has a little flushing thing right here that you push down and it pushes water into the bowl. And then this is the water fill up. So whenever you're using this, it has something called toilet chemical that you put into this base, and it helps it to not make smells. There was one problem with this. So I've said on the channel many times, I don't use my toilet unless I absolutely have to. And so I packed it up, I cleaned it out really good, I disinfected everything like I do every time I go to base camp, and then I put it in my van and I was ready to go. Seems pretty simple, right? It was, except for the fact that I somewhere along the line didn't think about the fact that I was going to be going through hot temperatures, cold temperatures, low altitude, high altitude. And there's a few things that you need to do whenever you're going through those kind of changes using this toilet. Every so often, whenever you get to higher altitude, you just need to pull that little flap out so it can pressurize. It's like every other bottle. It gets that fluid inside and it has to be able to expand and contract. So you need to be able to do that. Well, because I hadn't used it, I didn't think about that. And so last night, as I was driving into camp, I was like feeling kind of like I smelt something, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And my logic was telling me, check your butane bottles, check the little thing of propane that you have, check to make sure you don't have weird food, all the normal things. I checked my fridge even to make sure it had been plugged in and that my food inside hadn't gone bad. But I kept smelling it and I couldn't find the answer. So the last thing I thought about was to go under my bed in the back and just start pulling things out and just like going through them. And when I did that, I realized that the toilet chemical that I carry with me to refill it was slightly bulging. Like, that was kind of scary. So I released the cap and the pressure, just like a soda. It sounded just like that. And so in my mind, it clicked, boom. I never did that with my toilet. So the toilet chemical itself has a very faint smell. It's not anything too crazy. It's not anything like bad, but because it had been going in and out of the pressure changes and also in and out of the temperature changes, my toilet was basically like, it was expanding. And it was really kind of interesting because as soon as I put that together and pulled that little hatch out, it was like it made a burping noise, which is kind of gross. But the chemical in the toilet itself also has to be taken care of, even if you don't use it. And with it having been in the van for about 3 months without me physically using it, I made a couple conclusions. Going forward, I will fill up the water basin on the bottom with the correct amount of water, and I will also fill up the water basin here for flushing. However, I will not be putting the toilet chemical inside the toilet until I do so going forward, because unlike water, which can expand and contract and be able to just pressurize with cap, the toilet chemical itself has to physically have a place for it to go and dissipate. And so it will pressurize and cause some weird smells. So that's what my solution will be going forward. Now, because whenever I did that, it made that kind of sound, it like pushed out all of that chemically smelling stuff, which didn't smell pleasant. And even though it's not like the used toilet smell, which would have been really bad, I still didn't want to keep it in the van last night so that it can continue to kind of aerate a little bit just in case. So I cracked my windows at first and I thought, that'll be fine. But then I thought about it a little bit more and I was like, you know what? The toilet can just live outside tonight. It's fine. So it's been living outside all night. It is now no longer being weird and smelly because it's had time to adequately like disperse that bubble of whatever it is. And so I can put this back in the van pretty soon. I'm gonna leave it out here for a little bit longer because I actually have some cleaning to do, but you know, that's a lesson learned when it comes to toilets. A lot of times we don't like to talk about it. A lot of times people have different methods for which they go, and that's well covered on the internet. But I've never seen anybody actually talk about one of these needing to have pressure released. So if you have one of these, make sure you do that just every so often. And perhaps if you're not using it, like I don't use it unless it's backup, don't put the chemical in until you actually need it. Yeah, that's the lesson learned today. But I'm gonna go ahead and move around camp and do a few other things and just take a really casual, slow day today. I think I'm gonna start off though by sharing some more of these views with you guys. It's beautiful here and I absolutely love it.
Close your eyes, get some rest. I'm by your side, lay your head on my chest. I know you've had a really bad day, but I'm right here, it's gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay. Calm your soul, hold my hand, don't let go. I understand. I know it hurts, it wasn't fair.
Okay, let's get to some work. Let's clean a little bit. I'm not going to do a full cleaning because I'm going to do that when I get back to base camp, but I like to keep this guy clean because it keeps things from tracking into my van. So I just take it out, give it a good shake, and then I also use my little dust brush that I keep in the front seat just to kind of go over it, make sure there's nothing too crazy tracking over to the carpet. Now, at first, whenever I put this down, I didn't realize just how handy this guy right here would be. But this has literally been one of the best things that I've invested in. I encourage everyone to put one of these kind of mats as you get into your van, because you can keep your shoes on this at night, plenty of space. That way you're not tracking stuff into your van. Also, it's very helpful for whenever I need to fill up my waters, because I can place them on the mat and therefore they don't spill over. That's been really great. And on the rare occasions where I have had to cook inside the van, I can put my cooking stove onto that area with my windscreen and I don't have to worry about things spilling out onto the floor itself. So that's been super handy. But yeah, So that's been a good investment. I'm gonna go ahead and fold my blankets and do a few other things, and every morning I kind of go through a version of this routine where I pick up my Febreze and spray all my fabrics. Typically, I also go over to that door and pull everything that way so it's nice and flat. And you might be thinking, why do I spray my blankets every single day? Because you're in a van. Things get weird sometimes. This just keeps everything smelling super fresh and also helps to kind of stretch my time in between being able to wash that main blanket. Because sometimes I go to a laundromat and they don't have like a larger washer. And so if I can't wash it as frequently as I would like, this really helps along the way with keeping it not having that dust and weirdness to it. You know what I'm talking about whenever you're out in the elements and then you get back to like a regular laundry and you smell your laundry for the first time after it's been clean and it's just so fresh. Well, this keeps it smelling like that a little bit longer. Okay, let's see. Inside here, I bagged up some trash yesterday. It's just a bunch of like residual things that I had in the van. I have a few things like baby wipes, and then I washed my hair last night with one of my hair washing things. Otherwise, I have some maps and stuff that got wet. So I'm gonna throw all of this away whenever I go into town. Okay, here comes the challenge. I have a solar panel sitting right by this door. Oh, there we go. I'm just gonna grab it, make sure it doesn't fall. And you're probably asking, why do I do this to myself? Why do I sabotage myself so? Well, because I have to. I carry two very large solar panels and one smaller one. And I had enough room in the back for one of them, but the other one wouldn't fit because I also have my desk table thing. And so it had to go over here. It's fine. I'm usually just using two hands to open the door, but today, because you were with me, I'm using one. I'm also going to go ahead and fold up my cooling blanket. Oh, it's so cold right now. This has been my saving grace in all of the hot weather. This and my Zero Breeze have gone hand in hand together in keeping me cool, but specifically this guy, because I can put this on even when I'm walking around outside if it's super hot. And yeah, just, it's super nice. Now, summertime is almost over, but if you guys are going to be traveling next summer, get one of these. Just do it. In fact, I'm going to leave a link in the description because you need one of these. It's fabulous. Now, I will say this one is quite large though. So it's big. It's really, really, really big. Okay, now that we've done that, I need to pull the blankets this way because they are not very even right now. Tuck it down. And then on this side, I like to tuck it under because it makes it a nice clean edge. Of course, I need two hands for that. So let me get to work. Okay, that's a bit better. Some of my garage has kind of shifted a little bit in the drive, and this roll of toilet paper, we have gone back and forth. Normally, I keep these in like a little plastic container, and I didn't have that this time, so this guy right here, we're gonna have to find him a new home. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and put the All Powers solar panel up. This is a 100-watt panel. It attaches to that new power station that I'm gonna be sharing a review with, or at the time of this posting, I may have already shared it. And if I do, I'll link it below so you can check it out. But look at this, guys. This is the setup, and we have a nice breeze through right now, which is super nice also for keeping those fresh smells in the van. You know, when I woke up this morning, I didn't think today's video was gonna be about smells in a van, but apparently it is. But that's the reality of van life sometimes. A lot of times whenever you're at a house, you can have like a wax melt or some kind of air thing that continuously like keeps your circulation smelling like fresh linens, or fill in the blank with your favorite smell here. However, in a van, you can't really do that. Not supposed to really burn candles in a van. It can be very dangerous. Not really supposed to have any kind of like plug-in smell thing, because again, that takes your energy, and then also because it's such a confined space, it can be overpowering. So airing your van out, spraying your linens, spraying your laundry bag with Febreze, all of those things are super handy. Not to mention, one of the things that I like to do also, I'm sure many of you have already noticed I use these shower caps on the bottoms of my shoes to keep the dirt from getting all over my van. But did you know that every time I take off my shoes, I also spray them so that they don't have any kind of like weird smell after a busy day? Now, doing this is super helpful because, you know, your shoes are one of those areas that you're sweating in the most. You can always take your clothes off and independently spray those before you put them into your dirty clothes bag, and that really does help. And then spraying the bag itself also helps. Not to mention, anytime I do laundry, I always wash my laundry bag in addition to the clothes inside, so that keeps it from getting that weirdness to it. But the shoes make all the difference in the world. So find yourself something that you feel comfortable spraying your shoes with, whether that's a shoe specific spray or something like Febreze. It really does change your experience in your van, trust me. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this solar panel up because I'm not going to be charging this battery today, and I don't really need to charge any of my batteries for that matter today, so we're good. So what else can get smelly in your van? Since we're on the topic, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that can get super smelly. For example, when I do have to cook in my van, I know my van is going to smell like food. I try not to cook in my van for that very reason, and because of that, I picked up something whenever I was in Oregon to help me to cook outside even more. So a lot of you have seen, I have a tray that pops up right here, and then I can cook inside this space. But sometimes I don't even want to do that because the food smell still can waft into the van, especially on a hot day. So I found this guy. This is a table, but it is a very interesting table. So this table is foldable and folds nice and flat, as you can see, but the way that it works is both sides actually fold out, then they fold together, and it's kind of hard to show you guys this, but there's two little puzzle pieces on the top that literally just lock together. And once it locks together, you have a table. And you can just set it up outside, and that way your cooking can be done not inside the van, but outside the van. Now, I found this to be extremely important, especially when I'm in critter territory, because I don't want to have more of the food smells inside my van, making it smell like an all-you-can-eat buffet. I would rather keep the food smells out, away from my van proper, because even though we're talking about bad smells, good smells also can be an issue. And in this case, they definitely can because, well, bears, mountain lions, all sorts of other things could be like, hey, I want in. And I've seen some recent stories of some people who have had just that happen, where they have cracked their windows so they could vent out their kitchen, and then all of a sudden, hi, I'm Yogi, I would like your picnic basket. No, thank you. So that's the great thing about this one. I can take it and I can move it to over there or over there if I wanted to. And I could set up shop with one of my camp chairs and I could be set. But on the other side of that, all I have to do is basically unlock these two little puzzle pieces like this, and everything folds back into place. Super simple. I could even do it with one hand, as you can see. So we've talked about toilets, laundry, our linens, our shoes, and food, all 5 very valid things that can give you a very interesting smell within your van. Oh yeah, and trash, that too, trash. And all of those things are things that you will find along van life. Those are not things that are not normal. In some way, shape, or form, you will experience all of those. And so getting to figure out how your system works best, it can take a little bit of learning, just like today with the toilet. The toilet was something that was a wild card. Wasn't thinking about it. But whenever I encountered it, I was like, yeah, make a note of that. We don't want to do that again. It was not fun. And usually that's how you encounter these things that you have to improve, is by trial and error, finding out that something is not quite right and figuring out a creative solution to fixing it. Now, I have wandered around camp, I have folded my blankets, I've gotten my whole existence back in order, and now I think I'm gonna just wrap this video up. We talked about all the weird smells with van life that I have encountered. Now there might be some more out there, and if you've encountered other weird smells, leave a comment below to tell me what it was and how you resolved it, because then I can learn from your example. I really hope, guys, that you have a wonderful time whenever you are out adventuring, and that these little things don't get the best of you. Because if you can persevere through some of the weird smells and figure out the best solutions for keeping yourself smell-free and also safe, you're going to love van life. I know that I absolutely do. Remember, guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and van life can be that. It definitely is a perfect way to get out and experience the world, and yeah, I hope today's helpful. Till next time, guys, bye!